What's up, everyone? Shaq here for EDM.com, and you know who this is ahead of the Antagonist 2.0 tour with a Philharmonic Orchestra flanking Apashe to Seattle on January 24th and Paris on February 8th. Apashe, how's it going, man?
Hey, pretty good, you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for taking a break from the sun and the beach to make this happen. There's so much to talk about, and of course we got to talk about this big tour you have coming up, but there's one question that's been on my mind all summer, and I have to get it out. Can you just walk me through your mind in real time and your perspective as this exquisite lightsaber battle is taking place at Lost Lands during your set? I mean, holy hell.
I didn't even notice until for a while. I think I was because I always kind of jump on the table for that one because it's a bit of a heavier song during my set, and I think I was kind of just like vibing, and at some point I saw like kind of far because you see it very well like in the drone shot, but
Mhm.
for me it was kind of far because like Lost Lands is so big that like it happened quite far. So I didn't see it right away, and as soon as I saw it, I think I turned around and I tried to point it at other people that were behind the booth, like, hey, look, there's like people fighting. Anyway, um, but no, definitely kind of a random moment. But also, it has happened before. Like people have been bringing those at shows since because we have done it ourselves once in
Mhm.
Prague as a stunt, and since I
Oh.
posted that video, people have just been bringing those sabers everywhere to every show.
Dude, I was legitimately impressed. Like as a kid, I would watch YouTube videos of like early YouTubers having lightsaber battles with CGI and stuff, and like those guys knew what they were doing. This was a good effort.
Oh yeah, it was they had it planned for a while for sure.
Can you tell me a little bit about these shows that you have coming up? Specifically, what are some of the unique challenges that come with rehearsing and performing live with an entire Philharmonic Orchestra?
Um, I would say the most challenging part is the pre-production. Um, since we're playing with a lot of musicians live and they need to follow partitions, it's really important that everything has been done and cleared beforehand because we're playing with very professional musicians, so
Hmm.
they're able to play anything that's in front of them if the music sheets are well written. So it's really important that once the set is kind of decided, that we make those sheets and that it is very clear for everyone. And then the rehearsing part usually goes kind of smooth, but it's the kind of the last moment when we can point out mistakes, moments that work a bit less. But it's also kind of a dangerous moment because it's not the moment to make too many changes because during rehearsal, people get used to the music. And then if you
Mm.
change it at that moment, it's like changing it a bit last minute. So they might still kind of be in their previous mindset during the show. Anyway, I would say it's the challenge is to have everyone kind of playing the same thing with the same intensity um and then um and then live the challenge is, I guess, it's the sound in the room, like having a
Mm.
sound guy that knows the sections, when it's loud, when it's quiet, when how it's gonna sound there, because each room is different acoustically, so that's also kind of a challenge. And then for me, since I'm launching like all the clips and the structure, I can't skip measures
Mm.
because if I do play like a wrong part, if I trigger a wrong part, then the musicians are going to be lost um, from the music sheets because everything is like fairly well timed. There is some room in there because there is a bunch of moments where they're not playing. So if I play around in those moments, it's fine. And I have like a few people that know the music very well. So if I skip something, I can do like an eye contact or something with them, and then that kind of works out. But preferably nothing like that happens live. Definitely not as a surprise.
How would you say this experience has been for the orchestra? Because, a beautiful thing about Apashe's music is the way it blends sort of classical with modern bass and various electronic genres. Like, the sets are kind of hard. Has it been like fun to see some of these more classically trained musicians step out of their comfort zones a little bit?
There is definitely a mix of both. And there is a lot of people that are used to play classical stuff, especially people that play more, for example, French horn is a very classical instrument that you don't find a lot in other kind of music, in other bands or whatever. But then you have, so for them, it's very like new and different, kind of surprising. Some of them thinks it's really fun. Some of them like don't really get it, but they still play what's written on the sheet. And then you have other musicians that play, for example, trombone players. It's like I guess it's an instrument that you can find in so many different kind of music. From funk to ska to like I mean, there's so many bands that play with trombones, so that um, those players usually are a bit less surprised, like they have been already playing with like on different kind of stages for different kind of people. So it really depends.
I'm based in Vancouver, born in Montreal, actually. And
Oh,
so I saw you perform at Celebrities. I saw you perform at the Commodore. So I've seen more of the DJ set. I've seen the brass ensemble. So for my fellow Apashe fans who have seen sort of various iterations of your show, how would you describe the scale of this one, working with the Philharmonic Orchestra?
it's definitely another step, another level. It's also things took such a big proportion right now. Um, I think the goal is to bring live on stage something that is closer to the recordings of how the music is made.
Mm.
So both my previous albums were symphonic recordings that were then mixed with electronic music. So um, I wanted to bring that part of the making of that music and bringing it into a stage. Um, so now that we're playing with like a full philharmonic, it's definitely closer to the source, I would say, of those recordings. And then because then you get all these musicians, you get that sound like the actual real sound, and then you get the mix that is like kind of destroyed with all the electronics. And um but proportional wise, it's becoming such a complicated thing to like logistically to put together.
Hmm.
Um, at first, it started kind of as I guess, as a dream, and now that it's a reality. It's like no one in my team nor me expected this to be so complicated and so expensive, and so yeah. It's very intense, but I'm glad it's like it's working out really well. So everyone is happy. It's just let's just say it's different than coming on a stage with a USB and doing a DJ set.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the fruits of your labor in Seattle. Uh, have your friends forgiven you? All the friends that you lost while putting Antagonist together, have they forgiven you yet?
It depends who. Most of them have, luckily for me. But it would be a lie if I didn't leave some dead bodies behind.
What was the inspiration behind the mockumentary?
I think kind of like the first small little documentary that we did, we wanted to kind of document the whole process of the album, which we did, but also like everything that happens in between, and not take ourselves too seriously, because it is a very like work driven, dramatic, intense kind of I'm not sure if workflow is the term, but it took so long and it was so intense, like to put together. We wanted to present those images in a more of a light way, in a funny way, with our humor, and also because we spent so much time on the road, so much time recording, so much time, behind the scenes working on all of this. But and while we do that, we actually have a lot of fun. So while we film, we always like, oh yeah, then we could do this and then say that, and then that's gonna be happy. But that's our purely our humor with, my collaborators, my friends, and for the longest time, we didn't quite know how people would have like taken that because it's a very personal thing. But I think with Adrian Villagomez, we really managed to capture that and putting it in a silly, sarcastic way. Um, so yeah, I guess that was the goal.
Hip hop is my first love. Electronic music is my second love, and so I love that on your albums you always have at least one sort of like standout big crossover song there. Can you walk me through the pitch that you give Busta Rhymes' team as this majestic electronic meets classical music means hip hop artist?
Um, I think the pitch was not really like longer than what you just said. We He has been on like my wish list, I like of like dream collaborator, for the longest time. Um, but I don't think we thought it would ever be possible. But each year when we work on bigger projects, we kind of go back to like that dream list of like all the people that I grew up listening to, and for some reason, we realized Busta Rhymes was on the same agency, so we could have a direct email, and I think we just shoot our shot, and the way we pitched it was basically the way you mentioned it. It's a mix of hip hop, classical, electronic, and we sent along the pitch to his management team. We sent also like videos of the things I was doing to kind of give it a more of a visual support, and they came back to us surprisingly because we've shot like those emails in a lot of directions to a lot of people, and it's not like we always get positive responses always, but we caught their attention, and then I think they kind of thought it was funny, and then we sent a first batch of songs, and then right away we kind of said, oh no, that song is not available anymore, so please like use one of those. And then they like I think weeks after um they sent the song we told them not to use. um and I was like, fuck. And but it was already kind of taken like for someone else. uh so they sent like the song King right away, and then Bus started like putting me in contact directly with his sound engineer, and
Amazing.
then we did some back and forth. Sometimes he would call me. My phone was always like, whenever he would like talk to me, I felt like my phone was like vibrating, but just by his like deep voice. Anyway, um, but uh, turns out like now I have another song that just never kind of gonna come out, or maybe one day we're gonna clear it. I don't know how it's gonna happen, but we actually made two songs, and then we chose King for the album.
Okay, well, I hope we see the light of day on that one.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
what is your earliest memory of these sort of, I don't know if you want to call it Renaissance, majestic, medieval? What's like your earliest memory of one of these themes, whether it's a film, music, television? Like what was that first spark that really captured your imagination?
That's a really good question. I never thought of that. Um, I mean, for sure it must be movie related, but um, I wouldn't be able to pinpoint exactly which one. Um, damn. I have no idea.
That's it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell.
That's okay. Listen, I always take if someone says good question, I feel like I've done my job, whether or not I get the answer I'm seeking.
I mean, yeah, it's a good question, but it's also you caught me by surprise, so I don't know. I don't know which one. It would take a while for me to actually pinpoint that.
Um, you were working as a you're doing sound design for Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, really big video games while you were pursuing music. And once the music started taking off, you made that full time leap. I think in 2024, especially, there's a lot of us out there working multiple jobs. What would you say is the lesson in making time for a career and making time for your passion and when you should pull the trigger on, going all in on the thing you love.
I mean, switching from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think when people ask me that, it's important to mention that it was a hobby for me. Like I never saw it as like a real like career path necessarily, but I was always kind of like putting myself in a situation where I wasn't closing any doors. Um, and but it's different for everyone. For me, I needed to feel secure so I wouldn't be stressed, and just by feeling good, it made it easy for me to spend time doing my hobby because I knew I had like a stable job that was close to music, even though it was like more sound design. I was working in studios, so I could, whenever I had like 5 minutes, switch and start making music because I was already there. I could just stay like it was like an ideal situation for sure to mix both. Although I was working 9 to 5 sound design, and then after 5, I would just stay till sometimes way too late to work on my own music. But I did it out of fun more than like, oh, I really want this to be like a career. And um, the fact that it was fun for me and it was not stressful really helped me not get sick of it and keeping it a pleasure. And the day I switched from one to the other is really because I had no choice. I was starting to tour in the weekend. I was starting to ask extra days off so I could, leave on Thursday instead of Saturday and or whatever. And at some point, I had a full tour where I had to take like 3 months off, and that's kind of when I jumped in the water. But it's different for everyone because I needed that stability, and I should have probably
Yeah,
quit way before to actually only do that, but I knew my mindset would have been stressed and maybe the
I agree.
outcome of the music wouldn't have been as good. But you have like other people are different, and some people kind of need to be in that mindset to finish things to because they need that stress or whatever. I think listen to yourself, but keep it fun because I don't see why you would do that if it's not fun, if it's not a hobby. I never quite understood people um that kind of stop making music or stop like playing an instrument once it's not for the job anymore. It's like, oh wait, so that means you were just doing it for the money or for
Mm.
because you were dreaming of having like a famous career or whatever. Like
I know
for
a few
me, it's
people
like
like that.
no, but there are,
Yeah.
and I mean, and they have to do what they want. But I never related to that personally,
Same.
and I know I was already making music, and I thought that was not a serious career path, and I was already like having a lot of fun doing it, and I'm sure I will. The day I'm gonna, if that happens, quit music or whatever, I'm never gonna fully quit. Like I'm still
Hmm.
gonna make music. Like my dad has built a studio in his basement, and he's like 60 something, and he has never had a job in music. It's just he loves music, and I think that's something that I relate to that he probably shared with me.
What does your dad play?
He actually plays a lot of different instruments.
Nice.
Yeah, a bit of everything.
I am keeping you long here, so I'd like to end this by just running you through some rapid fire. So no need elaborate as much or as little as you like. I got all day, but just come like random off the cuff questions, okay?
Sure.
All right. First up, what is the best non trilogy Star Wars project? So one of the spin-off movies or TV shows, something like that.
Rogue One.
Rogue One's a very good answer. If Apashe had a lightsaber, what color is it? What kind? Are we doing two single sabers, one double saber, one single saber? What are we doing here?
Double red.
Double red, good stuff.
Duel of the
This
Fate.
is sorry.
Duel of the Fate.
Yeah, shout out to Darth Maul as well. This is the weirdest question you might ever get asked, but I learned about this and I had to. So a friend of mine informed me about this and sent me a screenshot. Are you aware that your name and the song Distance are mentioned in what my friend calls a paranormal romance called Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue?
Oh, you mean in the book?
In the book, yeah, there's some sort
Yeah,
of
I am aware. The author of the book is in my Facebook group, and we chatted before. Yeah, because other people have mentioned it. I've never read the book, but I know it is mentioned in there, and I'm very honored to be mentioned in a book that actually a lot of people are talking about. So I'm glad. Shout out to her, that her books are selling.
I'm so glad you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, when my friend sent me the screenshot, I'm like, this is such a. I love Nardwar, so I love like deep cut random things. So I'm so glad to hear this is on your radar. What's one video game that you would love to compose music for?
Oh, I would do. I mean, I would love to have a song in GTA. Like, it's not like compose music for, but just for the sake of like opening the radio in GTA and
Mm-hmm.
like hearing your song, you know?
What song would you pick, or would you make a new one?
I would make a new one.
Okay, I like it. I read that a lot of the times in your creative process, you sort of picture a scene in a film as a sort of source of inspiration for the music that you make. We already have the mockumentary, but when will Apashe publish his first film as either a screenwriter or director?
Um, like like a full
Yeah.
film.
Would you like to?
Uh, I mean, I would for sure love to, but it's so you need so much money for that, and I've actually I see people try and I see people do that, and it's I feel like I would have to start doing short films first, before trying to tackle a long project. But music more than I want to spend time on that. I already spent way too much time on music videos, and these are like 3 minutes long. So I can't imagine something that is like an hour or two.
I love your sensibility. Like, I really appreciate the passion and the work ethic is there, but it does not come at the expense of like mental health and common sense. So I think it's a very good mindset. I hope other people take it. Hey, we're at the end of the interview. So before I let you have the last word, guys, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe, tap the bell, full feature at edm.com with Apashe. Check out Antagonist 2.0. Apashe, full Philharmonic Orchestra, WAMU Theater in Seattle on January 24th, Paris, France on February 8th. Apashe, if there's anything you want to tell the people, I'll let you have the last word, man. Is there anything you want to leave the
Well,
fans?
first,
That's
thank
it.
you for having me on the interview, and yeah, I hope to see a lot of you at the shows next year.